To have you with us this evening. Today, we're coming to you live from Pasadena, California. Our special guest tonight, Lucee Ceseña, is a seasoned TV host, spokesmodel, and business expert who knows firsthand about entrepreneurship and operating a small business. Tonight, we're fortunate to have her with us, and she's going to speak on where you come from doesn't define you. A big warm welcome to Girls Night Live. Lucee, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I'm so excited to be here. Tonight, I'm going to share, just as what the title says, where you come from does not define you. I'm going to give a little description of who I am, where I come from, and how I kind of got here. So as she said, I am an entrepreneur. I own a business called Nobility Consulting Services. I set up corporations for all kinds of businesses. I work with a lot of banks in the Pasadena area, from Chase to Wells Fargo. I have over 20 accountants and CPAs that refer to me on a daily basis. And I have grown my business on social media. You'd be surprised how much social media can help you with your business. So I'm a business owner. I am a mom of two girls, one who is about to be 19, one who is 14. And I also am a TV host. So I've been very fortunate to be able to interview some very cool celebs in some very cool situations. My favorite was, of course, Tom Hanks. I don't think you ever beat that. He was so down to earth, and I just had a really great time with him. But my life has not always been like this. I am one of three girls, and I have a brother as well, who is about 17 years younger than me. So I grew up in the city of Bell, California. That's in Los Angeles. And I grew up in a family who was very much entangled in gangs. I guess that's the best way to say it. My dad grew up in gangs. My uncles grew up in gangs. And even my mom was from a gang. So I grew up in an era where that's just what we did. I'm first generation American. My father's from Mexico. And he moved here when he was 7 years old. And when he moved here, they started working in a field picking fruits. So they migrated over to Maywood, California, and it just was, they didn't have a lot to go off of. So as my grandparents worked really hard, they gave a great life to my dad and my uncles, but my dad found the gang life was more for him. So when he met my mother in job court out in Oregon, they moved to Bell, California, where they started having children, and we were born. Now, I saw it around me all the time. I saw the fighting. I was exposed to the drugs. I was exposed to guns. I saw it all, but it never really affected me in a way where I got involved myself. My mother was really good at shielding that from us, and she made it very, very apparent that we were not to get involved in that life, even though my dad was in it and I saw it on a daily basis. I remember one time, even being away for the weekend, we got a call and my father had gotten beat up pretty bad by the police. So just seeing all of this stuff growing up, you're exposed to it, and there's anger that comes with that. You know, a lot of times my parents fought, my dad did drink a lot, and there was just darkness in the house. You felt it when you walked in. There were good times, but it was hard when you're struggling and your parents don't have a lot and they're working every single day just to survive. It's hard to find the happiness and the joy in life. So when I was 10, my mother had us, I don't want to say shipped off, but at the time it felt like I was shipped off to a church where I got really involved, and I got to travel the country. And I stayed with that church till I was 18. And although I was back and forth from being home and at the church, I was exposed to all kinds of amazing things in this church. It opened my eyes to new worlds. I was able to see different people, different places, and I was able to really just soak in different lives other than what was in my own home. And then I would go back to home, you know, my parents' house when we were done traveling, and see the fighting, see the chaos, and see what life was like for them. So I was really confused and torn a lot of times. So fast forward to 18, I leave the church because I'm just done with it. You're either there or you're not there. So when I turned 18, I was done. I was ready to go, and I couldn't stay at home because, again, it wasn't the best environment. There was a lot of fighting. My dad has a lot of things that he was dealing with. I think my mother did too. It was just hard for them, and in turn became hard for me and my sisters. So I left at 18. I moved out and I got my first job. Now, mind you, I was traveling and going to school on a tour bus. So I never really understood what day-to-day getting up, going in an office or going in a school setting. I didn't understand what that looked like. I was lost. I remember one time I had a roommate at this time, and I remember I was so hungry and it was like 10 o'clock at night. And I did not want to go get something to eat by myself because I was terrified. Growing up in this church, you are surrounded, and I did not mention this, the church that I went to was a biker church. So there was a bunch of bikers that they called servants that would protect us and walk with us. So I never was alone. I was always surrounded in this cocoon. So when I left the church and I'm on my own, I was terrified. I didn't know what this world was. I didn't understand a lot of things, and I had to learn it as I went. And I did dabble in things that I probably shouldn't have. I partied a lot. I experimented with drugs. I gave myself more than I probably should have, even though I knew what was like my foundation and I knew what I was supposed to do. I'm still torn from seeing my parents partying, from seeing people in all these different places. So I came out lost. I came out confused, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was working at a gym, trying to figure it out, just lost. I end up having two girls, two children, and they have two different fathers, and I've never been married. So right there, I'm like, okay, I know better, but this was not the path that was for me. I was in a very bad relationship with one of my daughter's fathers, and I was feeling just broken. At this time, I was 30 years old and living in a home that I had purchased, because the fact that I had the upbringing that I had with this church gave me the confidence to be able to speak to anybody, be able to believe that I can do anything I wanted, believe that there were no boundaries. Even though I was lost and I didn't know how to navigate the world, I still felt I was untouchable because I was performing in front of so many people. I felt in my own mind that I was a star. Even though I wasn't, I carried that confidence with me. Even though I believe it was fake at the time, it was complete fake confidence. So 30 years old, I'm sitting in this house that was in bankruptcy because of the crash of 2008. And I'm there with two children, single, no money at the time because I had lost my job. So I didn't know what to do. And I remember sitting in the house one day where the girls were in daycare, and I thought, okay, what is this life? Like, what am I doing? How am I going to make it? I have no formal education. I did go back and get my high school diploma, but I never went to college. My lifestyle has always been fake it till you make it, go, go, go. And I decided that there needed something to be changed. I knew right then and there, okay, I need something to happen. And I remember sitting in my living room, and my ex at the time had left his books on the bookshelf. And I saw this book, and it was called The 1 Minute Millionaire. This is it. I still have the book today. And I read this book, and I didn't really understand what I was reading because it was my first book that I had ever read. I know that sounds crazy. At 30 years old, it was the first book I had ever picked up and read. And this book was telling me how if you can change the way you think, and if you believe that you are going to be rich or that you can have something, if you believe it, it'll happen. So me being completely ignorant to it, I sat outside one day thinking, okay, I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be rich. I just kept thinking it, thinking that it was going to happen for me just because I was thinking it. And nothing happened. The next day, there was no check that came in the mail. Nobody offered me a job. I was like, what is happening? I'm thinking it. It's not happening. So fast forward a little bit, I end up meeting another person who was asking me, do you like to read? And I thought, yes, I do. I just read this book. I'm a reader. And he was taken back. He's like, that's great. But I realized like, no, I'm not. I read one book and I knew nothing about what was inside of this book or how to let it change my life and really change my thought process. So I decided to pick up another book and try to read it, because at this time, after coming from the relationship that I had just come from, I would wake up so angry for no reason. You go to bed happy, you're in a great mood, and then you wake up just pissed off at the world. I didn't want to get out of bed most days. I had a very young little girl, baby at the time, and we would literally sleep till 12 o'clock. I'd take my older daughter to school. I'd come back home and I'd lay in the bed till about noon. I had no drive. I had no purpose. I didn't know what I was doing. Sorry, I get emotional. But so I pick up another book, and it was Become a Better You. And I couldn't even read the book because I realized there was so much anger in me and so much confusion on like, okay, who are you? What is your purpose? What are you trying to do? And I really didn't know. I didn't have the answer for that. So I realized that I had to start doing the work within myself. And I realized that a lot of my past, I had been carrying it. I was so angry with my parents. I was angry at myself for some of the choices I had made when I knew better. But we all make choices. I mean, that's one thing that we've been granted is free will, right? We're all responsible for the things that we do because it's our choices. And I think when I started taking accountability for the fact that I am where I am because of the choices that I made, and some of these books that I was reading was helping me understand that. I didn't have the mentors. I didn't have the people in my life that could tell me these things. My parents taught me how to survive. They never taught me how to really make it. And it's not their fault. They did the best that they could. And they didn't know any better. Nobody ever showed them. So how was I going to know? And I'm so thankful that I was able to pick up some of these books, Wayne Dyer, John C. Maxwell, like these are people, Joyce Meyer, Beth Moore. Let me tell you, ladies, if you've ever felt insecure, there's a book called No More Insecurity or Insecurity No More. It's on my list, but this book changed my life in the fact of like, I am such a people pleaser. And I realized that all these insecurities are within me. And if I learn how to combat them and overcome them, then I can wake up joyous, because I've come to learn that having joy is a foundation that we all carry within us. It's happiness that comes and goes depending on our situation and certain circumstances. So I started reading books and I started realizing like, okay, I need to make a change, and it has to start with my mind. So it's my thoughts. Do I think I can do something? Yes, I think I can, but I don't know how. So how do I do that? And I knew that I had the experience of being able to speak in front of people, being able to be in front of people. And I took that confidence. And as I said, I faked it till I made it. I would go into offices, I would speak to bankers, I would speak to accountants, and I would just go in there smiling and saying, hi, I do this, I do that. And I made mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes along the way in building this business. I've had my business for 10 years, and I can tell you firsthand that I've had to, like I said, take accountability for a lot of things that I didn't do right. And I've had to truly go in and apologize and say, hey, may not know this, but let me find the answer. Because I knew that if I did the work, then all of these things that I wanted and kept sitting there saying, the check will come, the money will come, the success will come. I knew if I would get up day after day and keep doing it, it would come. And it took a long time. Nothing happens overnight. I had been fortunate enough to interview celebrities, as has been said, but I've also had, the opportunity to interview a couple of entrepreneurs. And a lot of times you look at somebody and you think, oh my gosh, they just came out of nowhere. They just made it, but they didn't. You don't understand how much work has to go into the things that you're trying to build. And if you're trying to be successful, if you're trying to be a good mom, if you're trying to be a good mate, if you're trying to be a great business owner, there's things that you have to do every day to work towards that. It's not just saying, I want to do it. You really have to work towards it. And I am not the most, my work ethic is good, but I'm not going to say it's the best. But I have many times, and I still do to this day, will sit here in this office and work till 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, because I know the goals that I'm trying to reach. I know I have 2 girls that are following me and watching me, and there is no man in the house. It falls on me. It has to be my strength that gets up every day and shows them that you can do it. You can work at something, you can accomplish something, and you can make whatever you want happen. And I did not have that growing up. I did not have the talks of, hey, why do you have an attitude? Why are you upset with me? Because we all do. As women, especially, we're emotional beings. We get up and we're mad at the world. And we're mad at the world because of something that happened when we were a kid. We're mad at our parents. We are not speaking to them because we're so angry. And I think when we take accountability for ourselves and realize that every person has made their own mistakes and they're only doing the best that they can, you're not going to be able to change somebody. You're not going to be able to make somebody understand what they've done to you. You can forgive them because it does help yourself, and you can move forward smiling and accomplishing all your goals because there's nothing hindering you. There's no bitterness. There's no anger. You're truly walking in your purpose of trying to be the best you that you can be. So I am just so honored to be here and talk to you guys. I know I talk fast. I do see there's a lot of questions coming into this room, and I wanted to wait at the end, but I want to answer some of them because some of them are really great. So is that okay, Shelly, that I go in and answer some of these? Yes, Mandy, thank you. I am honest about my story. And sometimes I'm a little nervous on how honest I want to be because my girls think that I'm an angel. They think I'm perfect. I'm always telling them I have a 19-year-old daughter who hasn't even had her first kiss yet. She's going to kill me for saying that, but she hasn't even had her first kiss because ever since she was little, I used to tell her, if you have a crush on somebody, if you think you like somebody, just give it some time. I can guarantee you in a week or 2, you're not going to feel the same. And I also used to tell her, for any girls in here in high school, honey, you might like somebody today, but I can guarantee you by the time you graduate high school, this boy will have dated 6 of your friends. Just be patient, give it time. So I tell them that all the time. So yes, I'm being as honest as I can. Okay, Anna, where do I get my internal motivation to stay positive? That's a tough question because there's days that I am still down. There's days that I lay in the bed till about noon, and that's okay. I acknowledge it. When I wake up and I'm down, because I do get depressed, mental health is very serious. We all deal with it. We're not always on a 10. I'm not always this happy and this vibrant. There's days that I'm really low. There's days that I'm really just hard on myself, but I acknowledge it. I look at it and I look at the facts. What are the facts? The facts is that one time, there was a time in my life that I was broke. There was a time in my life that I was living in a home that was in bankruptcy, and I was literally buying 3 months at a time in court, trying to just stay in this house. I was living off of food stamps for my children and, trying to make my little child support last as much as I could. There was a time that I was in that. But I worked to come out of that. Every day I got up. Every day I went out there and hit that field and built my business, even when people were telling me no, even when there was months that I was getting nothing. So when I have those days today, I take a moment, I acknowledge it, and then I go back to my truths. What are the facts? Who are you today? And I have to be thankful because there's so many other people out there that are living in situations that I couldn't even imagine. So I take that and I realize that my situation and my issues are not that serious, but I do acknowledge it. I don't try to hide it. I take my moment. I sometimes sit quiet. I'll sometimes throw some worship music on, or I'll have some tea, or I'll read a book, and I just quiet my mind. The girls will tell you, my kids, when I'm in a frenzy and they know I'm in a bad mood, I say, okay, girls, I'm going to my room for 30 minutes. And I put myself on a timeout. Because it's not their fault and they don't need to have the brunt of my attitude. So I know how to put myself on punishment until I can get myself back to a better headspace and then come back and join them. And I've learned to do that. And I think that it's worked really well. So let's see. Building social media. Yes. Hints on how to build your social media from the beginning. I would say be true to yourself. Be authentic. A lot of times I get on social media and I'm silly. I love M&Ms, but they make me break out. So no matter what, if I eat M&Ms, there's a pimple that is coming 2 days later. People know that on my social media. If you follow me on Instagram and you see me with some M&Ms, you know there's going to be a pimple in a couple of days, but I'm okay sharing that because that's me. This is my truth. And people want to engage with real people. I don't want somebody who's going to be there fake. I do use filters though. I love filters, ladies. So that's the fake you get from me. But when it comes to my personality, when it comes to who I am, I'm just sharing me. I'm being my authentic self. And people really love that, Ella. So be yourself, share your day. Everybody's nosy. Everybody wants to know what you're doing. Your friends want to know. So just share what you're doing, be your authentic self, and you'll see that your engagement starts to growing. And then also ask for, calls to action on social media. So if you're going to be on social media, ask them, hey guys, how's your day going today? Or what did you think about this? Or I watched this show last night. You just got to engage with your audience because that's exactly what it is. Everybody's watching you because they're just bored with their own lives. We're all bored with our own lives. So we want to see what everybody else is doing. So that's one thing I would say. All right, let's see. Liz, I hear you. Okay. You can do it. I'm not going to say what you're saying, but I can tell you, you can do it. I was also in a relationship like that. And mine was both physical, mental, and most recently emotional. So when somebody is playing with your mind and telling you that you're not this, you're not that, you're not going to be this, it weighs on you. I'm sorry. But know that you are able to do anything you want to do, that you have the strength. It's in you. And I know it's hard because some of us have nobody. You know, there was times that I sat there and I couldn't go live with my parents. I couldn't go stay with friends. Luckily, I had a sister who took me in a couple times, and I'm so thankful for that. But a lot of times we don't have people that can help us. But so I don't want to sit here and say that it's easy, but it is doable. And every day, if you get up and you work on what you're trying to do and what you're trying to build, and you tell yourself, I can do this, I'm strong enough. Start with that. Even if you're lying to yourself, start with that. Tell yourself, I'm going to do this. I'm able to do this. I can do this. And you will start believing it. But don't just sit on your couch or don't just sit in your bed. You have to really get up every day and look for something and try to build something. You have to do that, because if you don't, the darkness will overtake you. You have to find a reason to smile, and you have to find a reason to get up. So I don't have a college degree either. I barely finished high school. I'm half the time, I don't know how I made it this far. I don't know. I build companies for some amazing people that are doing amazing things out there. And I'm thinking, wow, they're so smart, but they're coming to me to build this business out. And the reason is because I'm confident in what I'm doing. And the reason I know what I'm doing is because I had Google. And you don't need to have college. If you can't afford college, you don't need college. You have Google. Google what you want. There's courses that are free on Coursera. There's all kinds of places that you can go. YouTube, it can teach you how to do things. Find something that you love. Find something that you're passionate about. And then just start sharing it with people. When you build it, they will come. I love Field of Dreams. I love that quote from Field of Dreams, but it's true. And I've seen it. I see it every day. I see it when I have a client coming to me saying, hey, I want to start this business, but I don't know how to start it. Or, I have this idea and I don't know, if I should do it. And then we start their business. And a year later, they're making so much money because they took the steps towards doing it. And I love what Steve Harvey said one time. He says, hey, if you want to be a business, start with a business card. You can get them at prints.com, or they're really cheap at Staples, build a business card, start passing it out to people and start building your clientele that way. There's always ways to get started, and you don't need to have a college degree. You do not need to have a college degree. I love it. My daughter's in college and I want them to go to college. I'm telling them and pushing them to go to college, but I'm not a college graduate and I am doing this. I am making it happen every single day. So I just want to leave that for you. Joyce. Yes, Amanda, I love Joyce. Battlefield of the Mind was a great book for me. If anybody ever deals with the noises in our head, because we all have them, telling us that we're not good enough, or that we're not pretty enough, or we're not able, capable, all of that. We have to understand that those are lies. And it's sad, but we're telling it to ourselves. And you have to change the station. You have to change the things that you are saying to yourself in order to become the woman that you're trying to be. So all that negative talk that we all hear every single day, because it's a dark place in our minds, it's very dark. And if you continue to feed it with darkness, meaning the shows that you watch, the music that you listen to, the conversations as women, I don't know, again, I don't know the age group on here, but if I have any high school girls in here, how much gossip goes on in high schools is just sad and it's sickening. But don't engage in that stuff. Be somebody who uplifts. Don't tear down, because we're getting teared down every single day by sometimes the people in our own homes. Like, be the light. I tell everybody, be the light when you walk in a room. Don't bring more darkness in there. So books are really good for me because it taught me how to do that. It taught me how to change my thoughts, how to change my mindset, and to just be more positive in a world of negativity. Let's see. Okay, so Luna's asking, what is the most important thing that I tell my daughters to understand in life? And that's a good question, because I swear my daughters are always getting a lecture from me. They hate having conversations with me, but I feel like everything is a life lesson. So for me, I tell them, first of all, take accountability. And I'm going to tell you ladies that too. It will really change your life. Tomorrow when you wake up, or tonight when you go to bed, look at yourself. Stop blaming everybody else for all the stuff going around or going wrong in your life. Take accountability. If you make a mistake, take accountability. If you're wrong, say I'm wrong and apologize for it. If you take accountability and you apologize, it really does soften the other person. Whether you're in a situation with somebody, whether you're just with yourself, you're going to give yourself grace, and you're going to, share and pour grace onto somebody else. And it just lightens everything. So I tell my daughters always, take accountability and be a positive impact for their friends. My daughter's in middle school and she comes home all the time talking about, oh, I can't believe this person did that, or this person did that, or they're doing this. And I'm asking her, well, what are you doing in that? And it's hard sometimes to share that, because they're going through so much in middle school and in high school and in college, and you're dealing with worlds, you're dealing with other people's upbringings, you're dealing with everybody else's opinions, and everybody has one. But you just got to be accountable for yourself and take responsibility. So that's the most important advice that I give my girls, is being responsible and being accountable. It does really make a world of difference for you guys. I'm telling you, just do that. Okay. What is the book that you recommend as a #1 must read? For me, and I would say for any young girl or any woman out there who still deals with this, because I think we all do. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter what your shape is. It doesn't matter how successful you are. If you have never looked at your insecurities, then you're not going to be confident. You're not going to walk in confidence. You're not going to shine it. You're just not. So the one book that I always recommend, and I actually have two, but I'm going to give you one, is So Long Insecurity by Beth Moore. So it's So Long Insecurity by Beth Moore. And it basically talks about women and how we're all insecure, because we are, no matter if you wanted to, say you're not, we all have insecurities that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. I do too. I'm insecure about so many things, But this book really puts it in perspective on how to change that and how to walk a life of confidence. And anybody that knows me knows that when I walk in a room, I demand the room. I'm going to look at everybody in their eye and say, I'm here. I'm here. Y'all see me. You see me, right? You see me. I'm here because I walk in with the confidence, knowing who I am, where I come from, knowing what I overcame. So Long Insecurity is a great book for me. And then I'm not a big novel reader, but there is a novel that I've read 4 times, and it is a fat book, let me tell you, but it's called Redeeming Love, and it's by Francine Rivers. So if you guys are into novels, that's a really good book as well. And it just really, again, talks about the importance of who we are as individuals and as women. We are truly created as individuals. We are all uniquely made. There's no mistake in how we were created or how we were made. So walk in that. The person next to me, I've had a really hard time with comparing myself to other women, comparing myself with people in general, or in my skills, my abilities. I've done that for so long, and I'm so over doing that because I know that what I came equipped with is enough for the purpose that I'm set out to do. And you are too. Anything that you have right now, it's all in you. We all have it. We just need to work it out. We need to fine tune it a little bit. And we need to, again, start with taking accountability for the situations or where we are in our life to be able to make those changes. So for me, those are 2 books that I would recommend to start off with, because it does start with the way that we think. And then I would go into Think and Grow Rich, because that's what we all want, right? We all want to be wealthy. We all want to make some money. We all want to be rich. I tell myself, and I tell my sisters and my family, if you see any people that know me, I tell them all the time, I'm rich. I'm rich. And I'm going to continue saying that until my bank account shows it. I'm going to work towards it, but I'm living it. I'm saying it. I am a very rich woman. Y'all, I'm wealthy rich. And until that bank account proves it, everybody's going to hear it. So just believing in it and walking in it. Those are 2 of my books that I would recommend right now. So let's see. Do I have any mentors, Patricia? Yes, I have tons of mentors, but they're all in authors. I don't have a lot of people around me that are doing what I do. I don't have a lot of friends. And the few friends that I do have, they're all of same minds. So, one of my best friends, she's a manager at a pharmaceutical company. She has worked her way up, and me and her have come up together really almost in the same situation. And I've seen this girl, she's a single mom of 4, and she has worked her butt off to get where she is. And she is so successful. But I keep myself around people that are like-minded, because you are who you hang with. I know you all have heard the saying, birds of a feather flock together. That is true. So take a look at your friends. Take a look at who you're spending your time with. Take a look at the conversations that you're having, because if it's not excelling you and if it's not propelling you to be something greater and better, then you're wasting your time. What are you doing with them? There's no purpose. You're just literally wasting time. So my mentors are the people that write these amazing books that teach me how to become a better me. And I don't know if you guys were able to read the blog, but there are 10 books that I gave that are my top 10 favorite books that really have changed my life in the way that I think, in the way that I move, in the way that I operate. So those I would suggest that you start with and let them be your mentors. Because if you come from a place that I come from, where, I'll tell you a quick story. One time I got caught stealing a compact at Save-Ons, right? And they were going to send me to jail, and my dad would not come pick me up. My mom's calling him. My sister's begging him, please go get her. He's like, no, she wants to steal and get caught. Let her get caught. So he finally came and picked me up, and I just knew I was going to get a whipping. I knew I was going to be in trouble. And my dad, and I tell you, he was a gangster from a gang, right? He walks in the room and he was so pissed off at me, but he wasn't upset because I stole. He was really upset because I got caught. So my lecture was, if you're going to do it right. These are my lessons. Okay. So he was telling me how he got, stole and never got caught. And so these are my mentors. I can't use them as mentors. So you have to find your own. If I want to be the type of woman that I know that I'm, destined to be, I have to find those mentors that are already doing the things that I want to do, already thinking the way that I want to think. So find your mentors in books if you don't have them around you. Let's see. Thank you, Alana. Let's see. Do I have a good relationship with my family today? Yes, I do. I love my family. I love them very much. But I had to draw boundaries. I had to put boundaries in place for myself because it is toxic when you're in a space where you're just so used to yelling at each other and that's how you speak. And you think that's normal because you're family. Oh, we're family. We can yell at each other. We can be disrespectful and talk to each other that way because we're family. That's not true. You can't, because you have to respect yourself and you have to respect the person that you're around. So if I'm going to be around, there's going to be a boundary set. And I'm not perfect by any means. There's so many times that I have an attitude or I don't like something. But again, I've learned how to quiet myself, take a moment, and really take accountability. Is it my fault or was it their fault? But we do have a great relationship. And I know that when certain things are going a certain way, I just cut it off. Okay, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to get into this dispute, into this argument, and I'll just take a step back. And sometimes they need to be on a timeout. We've had many times where I haven't spoken to my family for a couple of months, maybe, but we always come back together. And it always works out. So yes, I have a great relationship with my family and I'm very thankful for them because there were so many times that I pushed them away and I did not appreciate them the way that I should have. So today we are great. I love it. My dad is still crazy. Sometimes I put him on my Instagram story and he still talks about his old days of being in the gangs and all the things he did. And I love him for it. I love him for it. You can't change him at this point, but I know that I'm changed and I can share that with him. And sometimes I tell him my philosophies and he's like, you're so right, mija. Oh, mija, that's so right. That's so good. So I know he's listening, even though it might not change his thought process. I know he's listening. So yes, I do. Thank you. All right. If I can go back in time, what would I tell my younger self? Study, keep my head in the books, focus on something that's going to really build me out as an amazing human being for an adult. Don't focus on boys. I would also tell myself that your looks really don't matter. That's one thing, because I've been told my whole life, and I'm about to get conceited here for a second, but I'm a Mexican girl with blue eyes. Oh my gosh, you don't see many of those. So I had a lot of people constantly telling me, you're so pretty, your eyes, your eyes, your eyes. So I never thought I had to work. I thought I could just dress cute and walk around smiling and somebody was going to see me or somebody's going to want to give me a job or, I wanted to be an actress. I just thought I was going to be discovered by walking down the street. That's bullshit. That doesn't work, ladies. That doesn't happen. It does not happen. So I would have told my younger self to really study and focus on my books, focus on school, do good in school, figure out what I loved at a young age and really put effort into it because it's just wasted time. Kids are so into hanging out with their friends and partying, and they don't realize that none of that matters when you become an adult. So if I can go back and tell my younger self something, I would definitely say focus on the things that I love and my schooling, like really try to make something of myself, be those straight A students. I look at some of my daughter's friends who are straight A students going to UCLA, going to Harvard. And I'm like, wow, like good for them because they were raised in a way where their studies were number one. And I would totally go back and do that for myself. I would have made life easier for me. But again, we don't always come from that background. We don't always come from a home where your parents are encouraging you or your parents even understand the importance of an education. Again, my father was here at 7 working in a field. He worked. That's all he knew. Let's work, work, work. And I don't want to work that hard. I don't know about you guys, but I want to build something and I want it to be able to make money for me, to be able to live the life that I want to live, because we all create the life that we want. And we do that by, yes, putting time and work into certain things. So you can now then flourish and see what your, fruits of your labor have given you. So I would definitely tell my younger self to focus on something and be the best that I can be on one specific thing. All right, let's see. Thank you guys. I'm trying to think. All right, so there's not very many questions. There's some things that, I thank you ladies for sharing in here. I'm not going to say it out loud, but thank you for sharing that with me. Yes, there are certain things that you guys have been through that maybe I don't understand or that I haven't been through. And like I said, I apologize for if I had, come across where we all have our own path. We all have our own struggles, and we don't always understand what the other person is going through or what the other person has had to endure. So I don't ever take anything lightly or make it sound like you can do it. Just change this, change that. It's not that easy. And I'm not going to tell you it's easy. This is 10 years in the making. I was 30 years old. I am now 41. Don't repeat that to anybody. I will deny it. But I am a 41-year-old woman who has had trials and has had tribulations. I'm a single mom. I have 2 daughters from 2 different men. I have never been married. This is my stigma, right? But I don't live in that. And there's things that you ladies have been through or that you go through that we'll never understand. And there's darkness in that. And I get it. I totally get it. And I sympathize with you. And you guys can follow me on social media. I don't have the answers to everything. I do not, sit here and claim to have the answer. All I know is that I do come from a dark place, and I do have family members that have been through some tumultuous things, and I've been the recipient of some of that pain. There's things when you have parents who don't know how to deal with their trauma, we get the brunt of that. So I understand that. But there is a way. There's always a way out. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. And remember this, ladies, okay? I understand that we're all given some trauma and some things, but think of it like this. The things that you're given, when you overcome them, you are now able to be that peace and that voice for somebody else that goes through it. And it sucks that we have to go through it. It sucks that things happen to us that we didn't ask for or that we didn't deserve. It sucks. But when you overcome it and you work through it, you are now able to share that with the next person. You are now able to be that inspiration and that light for somebody else. So use it. Yes, dwell in it for a moment, look at it in the eyes, accept that it is shitty, and then learn how to work through it. So you can now be the inspiration to the next person following you on Instagram, on social media, in your church, in your own home, your children. Our children are sometimes so, it's sad for them because they get all of the anger that we're dealing with, and it's not their fault. Break the generational curses. Let's build these children up to be better than we were and to have better lives than what we had. So that's what I'm going to say on that. Yes, I don't know if you guys have any other questions. I know I talk so fast and I don't know how much I shared or what came out, but I just want to thank you guys. If you have any questions, please let me know.
First of all, I just want to say you were mentioning about the world needs people to be the light, but frankly, if we have more people like you out there, what an inspiration you are, Lucee. And so many people were talking about you being authentic and just, we're in such an Instagram world, especially for the younger people, where everyone thinks they need to be perfect and glossy and they're not real. And, I think what you're showing people is that, you be real and authentic and you show people life is not easy. And that's okay, because that's how we learn and move forward. And, that's just being real. So, just good for you for being out there and, helping inspire so many other people. It came up in the chat so many times. And as you mentioned, there are a lot of stories in there that you let go. But why don't you remind everybody to how they can connect to you moving forward?
I'm on social media. You can find me anywhere. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and it's my first and last name. So it's Lucee. It's at Lucee, Lucee, Ceseña, Cesena. So again, on any platform, whether it's YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter as well. I'm not really big on Twitter. I got to get used to that one, but it's at Lucee Ceseña. And again, you guys can just follow me. I share business stuff. I share day-to-day life. I just like to have fun. You know, we're all dealing in this world, and again, it's shitty out there. We know that. So to be able to just have fun and have people to encourage us, that's what I'm there for. So thank you. And that's how Girls Night Live found me. Look at that. By being my authentic self. You guys, you never know who's watching. Who is watching you.